Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Post and Pints. My name is Matt, taking over for Justin, and as always, doing a very bad job at it. This is episode 24, the Kobe episode.
Kobe!
Rest in peace, Kobe. We're with just Dre. The rest of the team is taking the night off, but we are so excited to be introducing these guys from a very successful page on social media. Young Americans Abroad. Been following these guys forever, and I'm so psyched to have them on. So I would like to welcome everyone, Patrick and Austin. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Really appreciate you guys having us. We're excited.
Not a problem, man. We're glad to have you guys on.
Exactly, dude. Like, I've been following you guys on social media for quite some time, and I just took a shot, and then you guys responded, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Yeah.
So as always, it doesn't matter that it's a Wednesday night. We start off with the topic of what are you drinking? Justin's not here, so no one's drinking water.
Not true. I'll go myself.
Someone's got to keep the streak going. So
it's such a depressing streak, but I am drinking some Tonewood Brewing Company. Justin actually recommended again. So for someone who only drinks water, Justin does have a fire selection. What are you drinking?
I have the Dab I've been drinking. It is from Dortmund, even though I'm not a Dortmund fan, but it is a good German beer. So I'm drinking that.
All right, what about you guys?
And I only had a White Claw in the fridge, so that's what I got to go with.
Nice. I'm sure
What
Alex
flavor?
will be happy about that one. Alex likes White Claw.
It's a ruby grapefruit. I don't even think that's a very popular flavor.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, you know what? There are no laws when you're drinking these claws. So
Exactly.
that's the motto. So our listeners know about us, but I would like you guys to, give us a little bit of a rundown. Let us know what you guys do at Young Americans Abroad that makes you guys so successful and why everyone on earth should be following you guys.
Everyone,
Yeah,
that's a tall order.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we need you as our hype man on all our shit. So we have a YouTube show and then also Instagram and Twitter page. So basically we follow, any American player under the age of 25, playing abroad, whether that's in Europe, Mexico, South America. We have some players down there that we cover as well. So yeah, we do a show. We try to do it every week. Obviously our schedule gets in the way sometimes, but we basically do a rundown of, the games over the weekend and, some games coming up and, just kind of the storylines associated with the players we cover. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just to add on to that as well, guys, like Austin mentioned too, just kind of covering some of those obscure leagues in Scandinavia and whatnot, just to kind of cover those players that are under the radar, which is also kind of interesting and exciting to, see where they go. Obviously, Novakovic in Serie B, we covered Romain Gall in the past, a plethora of other players there.
Yeah. I actually discovered you guys from listening to Lads, and I believe they had Austin on as a guest when he was we were talking about Bund Americans and all that. And I have my own podcast where I talk about German soccer. So I was like, I'll check this out. And I really enjoyed you guys' conversation on there. And, obviously, in addition to Young Americans Abroad, Bund Americans is kind of your Twitter page where you talk about specifically Americans playing in the Bundesliga, which you and I can get into that later. But I thought that was super, super awesome, too.
Yeah, that's how I actually got kind of involved in the whole Twitter sphere, was with the Bund Americans account and just kind of following Christian Pulisic's rise, so to speak.
Yeah.
It kind of has taken off from there. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So before we get into asking you guys questions, we're going to talk a little bit about MLS is back, just because it is now coming to the end of the group stages. And we're asking, hey, have you guys been paying attention? Has there been anything that's excited you about it? And do you guys have any teams that, you guys support specifically?
Yeah, I was just going to say, what a rough start for Atlanta United. I guess end now, too.
Yeah.
A lot more questions. Yeah, I was going to say, a lot more questions than answers with Atlanta United. This is a team that clearly they have the most money put into the system that they have. And I get your best player went down, but Carlos Vela didn't even show up for LAFC, and they are still putting in game. I mean, you can't rely all on one guy, and I think that's showing its true colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't think they haven't won any games and they haven't scored at all. Is that correct?
No.
Yeah, 3 games.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right to me, which makes me happy.
We like to be as neutral as possible, but every now and again, Dre will show his colors just a little bit, and it leaks out, and we get crap.
Not like no one knows that we're all Red Bull fans on the show. Yeah.
Right.
But overall, it is coming to the end, and now the teams who are leading are about to leave their groups to go to the knockout stages. So, we're getting down to crunch time. From what you guys have seen, do you guys have a favorite? Is there someone who, you're putting your money on?
What do you say, Pat? I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, and I don't want to be biased. I'm actually closer to Philadelphia, so I was actually inaugural season ticket holder with the Union.
Nice.
So obviously they were very bad when they first came in, but it's great to see from afar in Florida, how well they're doing. In their system now. And again, a player I wanted to talk about too further down the show, but Aronson's really impressed me.
Absolutely.
We actually had the wonderful opportunity. We actually got to interview their main capo, Adam Booth. He is he is such an awesome guy, such cool people. And what's nice is him, Philly, us rooting for New York. It's I still talk with him all the time. He is such a cool human being. And the Philadelphia Union is such an awesome franchise. Once I actually started when we started this page, I really wanted to get more in depth with the, I understand the players and I understand the systems, but I'd like to know the culture a little bit more. And the Union culture alone there is so much pride there, and it's such a cool franchise when you really get to look at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking from the actual player point of view, you did bring up Aronson, and that's someone that I wanted to mention since he's an MLS player under 25 and is pretty darn amazing, if I could say so myself, even as a rival. What do you guys think about Aronson? Do you think he's the future of Philly, or do you think someone's going to come knocking on his door and bring him over to Europe or somewhere else? What do you think his future holds?
Yeah, I think his future's got to be in Europe. I think right now he's pretty much the catalyst for the Union and kind of their creative player, their playmaker in midfield. So, I think his future is definitely in Europe, but where, I'm not sure. I know we heard the Freiburg link, I think this week have been floated out there. So I don't know if I'm truly on board with that. Freiburg's kind of a very defensive minded team. So I feel like he'd be better somewhere where he has more, flexibility to attack and do the things he does so well.
Right. But did you guys watch the LAFC Philly game early in the season, before the quarantine hit? Because that game, Aronson shined. That was just a beauty of a game, back and forth, and Aronson, played a big role in that game. So that was super impressive performance from the young guy there. Yeah,
that was a great game. Yeah, that really was. Yeah. Start to finish. And I think what was it? The Union Red Bull game in the playoffs last year, right? Where it went to extra time. Yeah,
that's where
bring it up.
That's where the Union eliminated us.
Yeah, but that was still one of the best games I've watched in a long time.
So Austin, are you also a Philly fan?
So in MLS, I really don't have a team that I root for. Gotcha. Like Pat said, we grew up closer to Philly than New York. So, I went to Union games. I didn't really go to Red Bull games, but I would say I really just don't have a team. I kind of last year I watched FC Dallas almost exclusively, all their games because of all the young players, and, it was a fun, dynamic that they had last year. So it kind of changes for me season to season. I don't know. I kind of pick a team. So
it kind of makes sense that you just follow the young players and kind of follow the league in general based on that. All right, Matt, do you want to bring out your first question?
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly speaking on those Philly results, I always travel with the away supporters with the Red Bull, and I I got to see both games against Philly in the same year where we had a 2-0 lead going into the half and we lost the game 3-2. So many beers were drank on both of those trips. So I hate to put you on the spot, and I understand that no parent can ever say certain child is the favorite, but with all of the Americans abroad right now, who is your favorite American playing in Europe at the moment?
I'll let you take that one, Pat.
I don't want to be have an obvious answer here, but I'm gonna have to say Christian Pulisic. Hands down. And I don't know if you were able to catch the game earlier today, but I'm a big Liverpool fan as well. And Christian almost gave me a little heart attack there with his play and just his rise from Dortmund. I know, Austin can speak more onto that, but just coming over to Chelsea and getting integrated with the team, the manager change, kind of had to prove himself again to Lampard and the team. And he is, injuries aside, is just coming electric and not making players, taking them on, looking so confident and courageous. It's just all you want to see. And I think it's just really building out to be a huge season next year for him.
Yeah. Definitely definitely a good choice. I was going to say personally, Tyler Adams, he's been injured most of this year, but I love just like his play style. And I think, going to Leipzig, he's kind of showed that he's taken that next step in his career as well, just like as a distributor, someone who kind of sets the tone in midfield. So I really enjoy watching him play personally.
Both very good answers. Very good answers.
Hey, Tyler Adams holds a very special place in our hearts. So after he left, like the next
that hole still hasn't been filled to this day. Really.
Yeah.
Filled, and it's tough. It's the flurry of Americans that are popping up and the fact that they're all extremely young. I think it's just like, it's really awesome that it's not a bunch of Brad Friedels and like Clint Dempsey's who are like, they need assistants walking into the stadium. Like these are like young guys who like the rest of their leagues have to genuinely worry about their growth and potential. So.
Yeah, and they didn't play college soccer.
All right, so my question for you guys is kind of along the same lines here, but what do you think contributed to this recent trend of a lot of young American players being scouted and being transferred over and bought out by European teams? 4 years ago, you don't really see that. And now we're having players that sometimes get bought out from academies and go straight to Europe without even having any MLS first team experience. So, like, what do you think has kind of contributed to that trend of young American players actually being given a shot by European teams?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think really Christian Pulisic kind of set the tone and kind of showed that if you take a chance on yourself, look at the rewards you could reap. So I think he really set the tone. And then, I think as cliche as it sounds, like having Jurgen Klinsmann for that period of time, I think helped get, Americans a little bit more exposure in Germany. I can't say that he really helped players go abroad, but I do think that people in Germany kind of kept an eye more on the United States national team. And hopefully that opens some more doors to, some of these players who went over early on. But
yeah,
that's my take. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, and I think I completely agree with you there. And then I think just the partnership. So it's interesting to me that you were seeing with some of the clubs like Bayern and FC Dallas.
Right.
They kind of formed that partnership there and had some players like Chris Richards. Obviously, you saw Weston go in there previously, but Richards is the prime example right now where he went on trial there and some training stints and ended up signing him. Now he's with the second team, which has been great. So interesting to kind of see that.
Richards just get a contract with Darmstadt in the second Bundesliga? I think Richards just got loaned out to Darmstadt in the second league now. So he's going to be getting first team minutes over there.
I think, and I may be wrong, but I think that might be the other Bayern center back, Lucas Moura.
Oh, yes, you are right. Look at me messing up my own Bayern players. You are correct.
No, you're good. They're both in the same mold, so
Yeah. But going off of what you were saying a second ago, I also think in addition to Pulisic, even though he's not an American, but like Alfonso Davies probably also contributed to like, let's maybe give these guys a shot because they might have something to offer.
Kind of that CONCACAF powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, you were saying something?
Crazy.
I was going to say two things. The first thing is some Bayern fan you are.
Yeah, I know. I'm such a good fan.
Speaking upon the partnership that Bayern Munich has with FC Dallas, I know like Manchester City has their link up with NYCFC being one of the partners that helped founded that club. I'm really surprised that more European clubs and franchises don't try to at least have partnership in some of these MLS teams, because the United States being one of, and you see the talent that is really starting to pour out of the United States, as well as soccer is becoming more and more important every single day in this country. I feel like, these clubs, I can't imagine it would hurt. I really can't imagine them coming in and, owning a part of a franchise or being part of a committee. And then the second the players that are growing start to get good, you reap the rewards. Tyler Adams in any other market really would sell more than $3 million to Leipzig, but because they have that Red Bull to Red Bull connection, they're able to get it at wholesale prices, basically, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I mean, I don't know if it would be great for MLS clubs, but I think it would be wise for European teams to at least create that partnership like Dallas, where they can at least bring some players over and then kind of get a firsthand look, and then hopefully the price will be less for them. So yeah, I think it would help our players out too. Heck, more investments like that to train. Perfect.
I just look also, if with the MLS, unfortunately everything in the United States is around the world. It's about money, but you have the opportunity as a franchise, as a club, to be linked with a European powerhouse. I feel like you could also use that to your benefit, to selling merchandise, selling product, things like that. I feel like, I feel like it's, it helps both parties equally. And, that's the most important thing here in the United States, is making sure that the money's in the green and not the red. So on to our next question, because we could talk about that for a while. Before, but what current MLS player do you see possibly fitting into a European system in the near future?
Oof, there's a few that come to mind. I was going to say, I think the one that's been linked most recently, and I'm still shocked hasn't gone abroad yet, is Reggie Cannon, the right back at FC Dallas. I think he's like right there. He came up through, the MLS pipeline, so to speak. He went to college for a year, which is even crazy to me thinking about it now, but he really, got his chance, took his chance, and now is, one of the best right backs in the league. So I think he's got to move in the next year or so, because if he waits too long, I think you could get another Kellen Acosta situation, which isn't good for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess another player too, and not to say too much on FC Dallas, but Paxton Pomykal is one that came to mind as well.
Okay. There you go.
Just in terms of his physicality and be able to get in on tackles, just a high IQ in terms of soccer, and just skillful and composed in possession. I could really see that translating to the European game pretty well. I think he's at a pretty good age too, where he's had some experience in the MLS, and I think he just had some surgery in the past there, but it's all healthy, and I think it'd be a pretty good time in the next year or so to make a move.
Yeah, both amazing answers. You were speaking on Kellen Acosta before. I even think of someone a little bit newer who, at the moment, I feel like every single day he's here, he's getting his value's getting less and less, and that's Aaron Long from the New York Red Bull.
Yeah,
right.
Last year, I remember during it was during the end of the season last year, he was heavily linked with West Ham. They needed a center back. They needed someone who fit a specific system. He fit that system. He is a tall, fast, great in the air center back who does have a high football IQ. And then it all came down to money. And I just, every single day I feel like he's still in the MLS. I feel like is just another day he won't be able to go, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one other player that one of our other guys in the podcast, Kyle, mentioned. I don't remember what episode way back, and it was on Colorado. His name is Cole Bassett. At 18 years old, he's already had pretty much like an entire season last year on the Rapids. So, he's had 20 appearances and 26 appearances, 3 goals as a midfielder. So at age 18, if he gets some starting time this year and next year, by the time he's 20, if he progresses the way that he seems he is, Europe might come knocking for him as well. Yeah,
that's another good shout. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely one that I remember. We talked about like some, young MLS talent. That was someone that wasn't on my radar until Kyle was like, hey, look at this guy. And I'm like, oh, didn't even think about him.
Yeah. And maybe Ayo Akinola too, he's been killing it in the, MLS's back tournament. So maybe he's someone new keep an eye on too.
Absolutely. So my next question is, with all of these players we're talking about, even the ones here in the MLS now, and then with the ones in Europe, with the Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie and Gio Reyna and all these other players playing overseas, what do you think that does to the future of the U.S. men's national team? Do you think we should switch to like an all youth system and let them figure it out? Do you think we should phase in youth and keep some experience? Like, what kind of balance do you see being struck? And do you think with all this talent getting European playing time, that's going to kind of bring in a renaissance of the U.S. men's national team, or not?
What are you going to say, Pat? I'll let you take this one.
And feel free to add on too. I was just saying, I think just in terms of Europe and MLS, and you can just see the growth in MLS has been tremendous. And, personally, I still think it'd be great to have a mix, from both the domestic league and in Europe. But I think in seeing those players and top players really challenging themselves, and if we want to compete with the Spains and Germanys of the world, we need to compete with them on a club basis and challenge ourselves. Players challenge themselves in the highest and toughest leagues.
Yeah, I remember when we were like seeing the rise of Christian Pulisic over the last couple of years when he was still in Dortmund. Matt and I and the guys would get together and watch games all the time, and we saw Pulisic kind of coming out of his shell and becoming a great player, but it was also seemed like we were throwing so much weight on just Pulisic and like kind of just putting the team on his shoulders at age 19 and 20, and that's not really realistic. You need to have a team around him that can play well also. So now with like Pulisic and Adams and other players getting, first team experience in top teams, hopefully that helps. But yeah, Austin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say when you talk about a mix of old and new, that's really the interesting part too, because I think of a few players like Aaron Long, John Anthony Brooks. I feel like they could add kind of some good experience, but past them, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a young core, and I think that's kind of the narrative you've seen recently with all these young players kind of getting their opportunities and camps and things like that. So yeah, hopefully by 2022, I think if we make the World Cup, knock on wood, and I think we will, I think we'll kind of set the scene hopefully for a big 2026 at home. So let's hope.
Yeah, that's absolutely the hope for all of us. Hopefully it will be a little bit less painful watching the U.S. men's national team play.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've actually had some good quality soccer from them.
Yeah. Matt, you got anything?
No, I agree 100%. I scream at the TV when I see, and the reports come out of, the team sheets on getting announced before friendlies or tournaments, and it's the same older generation. And it's really it's tough for me because these are games that are friendlies. These are games that are only supposed to build experience, and they're only supposed to bring, these teams together. Having people who might not be in your next competition in your starting 18 is a little bit annoying. I feel like it should just be scattered with nothing but the youth. Get these guys together, get these guys familiar with each other. And by the time we do have a competition, these guys are going to know each other like day and night. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just I feel like the U.S. should at the moment only be playing youth players. I think that should really be it until a core 11 is put together and then role players built around.
I definitely see your point too. Just in terms of, I feel like just watching them with a lack of identity and kind of not sure whether to take the reins from the veterans. It's a very almost kind of awkward situation. I'm not sure if it's in the locker room or training, and just kind of translating onto the field, I think.
See, I'm a bit of the opinion a little bit different from Matt. Like, I definitely support the youth, but I don't want 11 youth academy players up there. I definitely subscribe to a belief of youth players playing alongside actually talented players around them helps them learn. And my best example as a Bayern fan to this is having Alphonso Davies play a left back right next to Alaba, who before him was one of the best left backs in the world. So what better training partner and on the pitch partner can you have to learn the left back position than David Alaba? You really can't ask for a better, teammate and better man to teach you that job. And, I definitely believe that some of that needs to happen in the U.S. men's national team, but we do need to bring the average age down a bit for sure as well.
Yeah, I'm in the same mindset as you, Andrew, and I do think there needs to be some experience, but the biggest problem was, I think right after the World Cup, we had like CJ Sapong on the team, Eric Lehigh, like some players who never had been there in the past. So I think it's players who actually, know what that feeling is like. Like, John Brooks, I think, is someone who has World Cup experience and can kind of give you a taste of that. So I think it's got to be like smart mixes of.
Right. You got to selectively choose which veterans to keep and which young players to integrate.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're all hired.
So you're saying we could take over Bert Berhalter's job?
I think Berhalter's just a puppet, but that's another time. That's basically all the questions we have. We actually have some fan questions, so we're going to run through those really quickly.
Okay.
Finn Simeon, I definitely did not pronounce his username right, and I apologize. Do you think Timothy Way can still be a star for the U.S. men's national team going forward?
Oof. Do you want to take this one?
That one off. I was going to say, take that off, and I'll follow up.
I think I saw Austin wearing a PSG jersey a couple episodes ago, so maybe he
That's true. Yeah, no, I think Tim Weah actually, he's got to get healthy first, but I do think he's got a future with the USMNT. I think he's someone that just has such great speed that, we really don't have in the pool at the moment. So I think once he gets healthy, once he can kind of cut his teeth, so to speak, in France at Lille and kind of, prove himself again, because I feel like it's going to be kind of a redemption season for him, so to speak. Once he can do that, and I think he will, then I think he'll be, right back in that discussion and hopefully a key player for, the World Cup cycle and can kind of, help us along. That would be big.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw some parts too during Celtic at his time there. We know where he really shined, and we were covering that as well in our show. And then obviously with the injuries and moving over to France there, just to get healthy and again, like kind of Austin said, not to harp on his opinion too much, but to prove himself in France, I still think he has a really great future with the U.S. Being a crucial part.
What do you guys think?
Dre, do you want to go or you want me to go?
Yeah, I got it. I think Lille is actually a good team for young players to come up in. I think that they're not, a number one team in France. Obviously, no one's that but PSG. But I think Lille is a team that does well at developing youth, and I think it's a good spot for him to be there. And if he can prove himself there, then I think it's worth, giving him a spot on the team for sure.
I'm gonna turn it to a little bit of the dark side on this one. I think, unfortunately, I think the media put such a spotlight on him. It almost ended up like a Renato Sanchez situation. It was this young Portuguese kid. He blew up. He had one good tournament, and everyone was like, he is the future of everything. He's going to be amazing. And then when the spotlight was on him by himself, he kind of didn't live up to the expectations. And
right.
I wonder with Timothy Weah, I wonder if that is also it. But I think I agree with the rest of you. I think with him in France at the moment, that's the best situation, because I'm not saying the French league doesn't get the same attention as some of the other leagues, but it's not in that same crucial spotlight. And he's not on a team like a PSG where everything they do, it's under a massive microscope. And I think this will actually give him the time to grow naturally as a player. I feel like with Christian Pulisic, not many people were on top of him when he originally made his move to Dortmund, which gave him that opportunity to grow without a spotlight, and he was able to figure out what type of player he was going to be.
It's funny that you mentioned Ronaldo Sanchez. Do you know who else plays on Lille, Matt? Ronaldo Sanchez. So they're teammates now.
I'm glad someone got that connection. Next fan question, not really a question. Panino just says, salute to you, fam. Salute to you, fam.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks.
Our buddies from Soccerhead FC, the two Connors. Thanks again for listening, guys. Another Timothy Weah question. Where does Timothy Weah rank amongst American strikers today?
Oh, boy. That's tough.
Probably not as high as the guy asking the question thinks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the top ones would be. I hate to say it, but I'd probably say Josie Altidore is right now unfortunately the best striker we have. I think
I'd put Gyazi Zardes in the conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean he's been killing it the past 2 seasons in Columbus, so it's just so hit or miss with him.
Yeah.
Every time he like does well, it's just.
I feel like he does better for the club than he does the country.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a difficult point because just we're pretty thin in the striker pool, and then I just think with the injuries, I'd like to see a little bit more of him too. It's definitely difficult to put him in.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys say top 5 though, or are you thinking even further down than that?
I feel like we just need more data points to make a choice. Like he needs more game time, more minutes, and then we can kind of make a choice from there.
Okay. I agree 100%. Basically, with all of you, I don't feel like there's enough data, but I feel like the ceiling is higher for Josh Sargent over Timothy Weah at the moment, and I think Josh Sargent is in a better system where he's going to have that opportunity to grow. Like I said, I feel like the spotlight sometimes hurts these guys. Having them out of the spotlight and just allowing them to grow naturally. These guys are still very young, and I feel like they need to use the time they have to their benefit, not hurt them. And I feel like sometimes when these teams play in the spotlight, like you look at like a Mason Greenwood, he's doing absolutely wonderful right now for Manchester United, but like the kid's only 18 years old and he is still a kid. And, although he's having an amazing year this year, he is now going to be held for the rest of his life to that expectation. And I feel like that expectation that ends up being a heavier weight than anything else that will eventually stunt their growth, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I like to call that the Freddie Adu effect. You get at age 14 or 15, you join the MLS, you play for DC, you're the next Ronaldo, or you're the next whoever. And right now, the last I checked, he was in like the 3rd division in Finland or something. It's that's a classic example of too much, too young, like putting him under too much pressure, too much attention, expecting too much from him, and not letting a literal high school or teenager figure out his body, his athletics, his everything, really, his life, and just kind of throwing him into everything. So we don't really want a repeat of the Freddie Adu story.
Yeah.
You know what? That is the perfect analogy, and I don't think it needs to be explained any other way. I got to see Freddie Adu in person once. I went to a Metro Stars game way back.
Oh, nice.
I think it was like the first or second year I really started like supporting the Metro Stars, and I got to see I was still very young, but still young enough where not too young where I didn't know about the Freddie Adu effect, and every time he touched the ball, the whole crowd was just everyone held their breath and just watched. And if he made a 5-yard pass, everyone was like, that was amazing. That was wonderful.
Actually, guys, I saw him down at the Tampa Bay Rowdies. He had a little stint there a few years back. I never got in the game, but I saw him warm up.
Yeah. How the how time has affected that man, going from all this media hype to not starting for the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
To finish it up, it's exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes the pressure of being in the spotlight just stunts the growth of allowing these players to just naturally grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's enough talk about soccer. We could go on 5 hours, and I absolutely love you two, and we're definitely going to have you guys on again 100%. That's not even a question on the matter. We finish every episode. Again, it can be about soccer. It cannot be about soccer. What is pissing you off this week? Now, Dre and I technically already did an episode this week, and we already talked about what's pissing you off this week. So Dre and I are going to do what's pissing you off today. I'm going to keep my answer short, sweet, and to the point. It's Manchester United because it's just Manchester United. Someone else go.
I'm literally going to reiterate what I said on Monday, and that is Lewandowski got robbed by the Ballon d'Or being canceled. I haven't gotten over that yet, and that French magazine can go fuck themselves.
Yeah. So something I really thought about today, watching the Premier League, is that the Premier League ends on Sunday. So that's kind of pissed me off because that was my last league I was really watching besides MLS. I don't really watch Serie A or La Liga, so it's pissing me off.
Yep.
And
at least we have Champions League coming up.
That's right.
True.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it just pissing me off. I think just COVID as a rival Liverpool fan there, ruining our first title in many years in the celebration. Pretty anticlimactic. So that's kind of pissing me off there.
You didn't like the fireworks show?
Fireworks and nobody around.
My favorite quote, and I could be messing up this quote, but my favorite quote of the day is Jurgen Klopp going, "The second that this bullshit is over, we are going to party so hard."
That guy likes a good beer.
I'm telling you right now, this offseason, I don't think there's going to be one site where you're going to see where Jurgen Klopp doesn't have a drink in his hand, because he doesn't have to worry about Champions League. You know what? It's party time.
Absolutely.
You know what? But they deserves it. And on that note, episode 24 is in the books. Guys, thank you again so very much. If you want, please do. Name all your socials, how people can find you so that they can look you guys up, they can give you the follows and all that stuff.
Pat, you want to take the wheel? You do it in our episodes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, again, check out our awesome social media pages, like Austin said, Instagram and Twitter. We're always putting out good content there. And then, we also have that Young Americans Abroad weekly soccer report YouTube channel.
Yeah, and we'll definitely put that all on the go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say Instagram is Young Americans Abroad 1, I think, because our account got hacked last year.
Right.
WSR on Twitter. So
yeah. And we will definitely put all that in the show notes for you guys to find.
And thank you guys so much for having us again. Really appreciate it.
Like I said,
problem.
Thank you for being on. Okay, I'm the one who's still in awe here. So until next time, we'll see you guys next week. Remember, find us at Posts and Pints. That's at Posts and Pints. No one else has that name. We're the only ones who have that name, so it's easy to find us. Have a great one.
All right, bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Post and Pints. If you want to join in on the conversation or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, that's at Post and Pints Podcast. And remember, the banter is free, but the beer is not included. Drink responsibly.